Hello, hello. Welcome back to another review session with Learning with Lee. Today, we're going to jump right in and review our subject systems of equations, specifically the elimination method. And we'll break this down step by step with one of my favorite methods of curriculum, my personal method, math and English. So throughout the explanation, the math or the work numerically will be shown on the left side of the screen, and the quote unquote English translation will be on the right side of the screen. All right, to jump right in, this system of equations has given us two equations. We've identified, again, our given information. Always start with your given information. Equation one is highlighted in white. 5 times x plus 3 times y is equal to 4. I'll also read it as 5x plus 3y is equal to 4. And our equation 2, highlighted in blue, is 5y plus 2x is equal to 13. All right, so for our first step, we want to rewrite the equations with the common variables lined up and then identify the unknown variables. So in our system of equations, we'll always have variables. In this case, we have variables x and variable y. Sometimes in more challenging problems, you might have a variable z as well. But in this example, we're just going to use two variables. And so our unknowns or our variables, again, are x and y. And to line up our common variables, we'll line up the term 5x with 2x, 3y with 5y, and our constants 4 and 13. After this, our next step, the given unknown variables, as we just stated, are x and y. So you approach every question differently, and you will decide or choose a variable to eliminate first. And this example will begin by eliminating the x variable. And some of my students get stuck here. They always want to know how you're going to eliminate the variable or what step to do next. So to eliminate the variable, we're going to do this by identifying the common factor of 5x and 2x, and the common factor is 10. So take a moment to think about that. We chose the variable first, so the x variable, and we're going to look in our given information and look for where there's a 5x and a 2x, or where there's the variable x altogether. And those are the two terms that have the x variable. Next, we're trying to find a common factor, and the easiest way I explain this to my students is by multiplying each value by the other. So for instance, equation one has 5x, so I would multiply that by 2. Equation 2 has 2x, so I'll multiply that by 5. Again, focusing on the term that you're using, 5x and 2x, finding a common factor, think about numbers that multiply by one another and that equal the same thing. The common factor is 10. 5 times 2 is 10, 2 times 5 is 10. So if you do need to brush up on your multiplication and division, this will be a great time to do that, because during a test or a quiz, it'll be very helpful to know those common factors quickly. So let's take a look at our next step. Step 2, we choose a variable to eliminate first. In this example, we're eliminating the x variable. So we're going to, as we said on the last slide, multiply equation 1 by 2. And that means you take 2 times each term in the equation. So 5x is a term, 3y is a term, and 4 is a term. So we can see at the bottom 2 times 5x. You keep that addition symbol in between each term, plus 2 times 3y. And then the equation or the equal symbol is here. So you keep the equal symbol there, 2 times 4. Same thing with equation 2. I'm multiplying by 5. That's the number of the term, the other x term. One x term is 2x. The second x term is 5x. So I'm multiplying a negative 5. And you'll see why in the next step, why the 5 is negative. We're multiplying the negative 5 by 2x, multiplying the negative 5 by positive 5y, and negative 5 by the 13. So every single term in our equation, again, these were our given equations, every single term is multiplied by that common factor or the opposite term of the variable you're going to eliminate. After we distribute and simplify, 2 times 5x is 10x, 2 times 3y is 6y, 2 times 4 is 8. This is our new equation 1 after we've simplified it and multiplied the entire equation by a positive 2. And then for equation 2, once that's distributed and simplified, negative 5 times 2x is negative 10x. Plus, keep that addition symbol in between each term. Negative 5 times positive 5y is negative 25y. Keep the equal sign there. And the last constant terms, negative 5 times 13, is equal to negative 65. So another reminder, if you're brushing up on your multiplication and division, if you've ever struggled with multiplying negative and positive numbers, adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers, make sure you brush up on that. Because in this step, if, for instance, in equation 2, instead of negative 5 times 2x equaling a negative 10, if I had put a positive 10, I would have a different and incorrect final answer. So you always want to make sure you're adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing positive and negative values correctly. All right, so now after we've distributed, we want to rewrite our new equations. And I got balloons on the page, so that's good news. That means we're getting close to our step of elimination. We have our 2 new equations. We're going to add these 2 equations together. Why are we adding these 2 equations together? Because we want to eliminate the x value. So to combine those terms together after the work we've done before, our x value is able to be eliminated. This is great. We're so close. We got 1 step left. We're so close to the end. Our new equation 1, go back. Our new equation 1 is 10x plus 6y is equal to 8. Our new equation 2, negative 10 plus a negative 25y is equal to negative 65. So in English, we can see 10x plus a negative 10x is equal to 0. So that eliminates our x's. If we had 10 x's and we take away 10, we have 0, we have no more. So even the variable x is gone, it's just 0. So we take that away altogether. Same thing with our y variables, 6y plus negative 25y is equal to negative 19y. One way to do this a little bit easier is to think of 25 minus 6, which is 19, and then add that negative on there. And the last step, the constant value is 8 plus negative 65 is equal to negative 57. So we take all these values together. We added our x terms, the x-like terms together. We added the y-like terms. We added the constant values, balloons on the page. Fantastic. The x variable has been eliminated. So now On the math side of the screen, you can see how from step 3 to step 4, our x variable is eliminated. There's only the y variable left on this left side of the equal sign. The negative 19y is equal to negative 57. And again, negative 57 is a result of adding our two like terms that are constant like terms, 8 plus negative 65, which you see on the right side of the screen in English. These are like terms. This is how we simplify them. You group the x's together, you group the y's together, you group the constant values together. And usually they are written in this order: the x values first, the y value, and the constant value. All right, so we have our new equation that will help, that has eliminated x so that we're able to solve for y. Negative 19y is equal to negative 57. Again, as I said earlier, negative 19y is the same as negative 19 times y. So we're going to take a blast to the past and use our inverse operations or opposite operations to move our negative 19, remove our negative 19 from that left side of the equation so y can be all by itself. So we divide negative 19y by negative 19 on this left side of the equal sign, and negative 57 is divided by negative 19 on the right side of the equal sign. And again, knowing our rules of dividing two negative values, our final answer will be positive, and our y variable is equal to positive 3. Fantastic. So for step 5, we're going to, now that our given y is positive 3, we found that out, we're going to use one of the original equations, 1 or 2, and solve for x. You can choose whichever equation you would like. In this example, we will use equation 2. So my original equation 2 was 5 times y plus 2 times x is equal to 13. And when y is equal to 3, we can rewrite it as 5 times 3 instead of 5 times y. Then we'll add that to the 2x is equal to 13. We'll simplify and solve for the last step. 15 plus 2x is equal to 13. I'm solving for the x term, so I'm going to combine my constants 15 and 13. This is a positive 15, so my opposite or inverse operation is subtraction. So I subtracted 15 from the left side of the equal sign, subtracted 15 from the right side of the equal sign, and we have it simplified to 2x is equal to negative 2. When you find the difference between 13 minus 15, that is a negative 2. And 2 times x is multiplication, or inverse operation is division. So I divided 2x by negative 2, negative 2 by, or excuse me, a 2x divided by a positive 2, and a negative 2 divided by a positive 2 will give you a negative 1. So our x value is equal to negative 1. All right, so your final answer is often written as a coordinate point or ordered pair, where your x value is the first number in parentheses separated by a comma, and the y value is the second value in the parentheses. So our final answer can be written as negative 1 comma 3. And that is how we solve our systems of equations with the elimination method through the Math and English curriculum. Thank you all for listening and tuning in to our lesson for today. Again, my name is Miss Lee, and I help successful scholars score well on their ACT and improve their math and science grades so they can continue to further their education and enter their career if they so choose. If you have any additional questions or comments, please leave them below. If you're interested in scheduling office hours with me, if you have questions about scholarships or completing an application, Feel free to contact me, Miss Lee, by text or call at 586-244-8181. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Learning with Lee, and we'll see you all next time.